greatest engineering undertakings in the history.
Freedom came under attack.
To be self-evident.
Hi, I'm Katie Lowe, and I'm a philosophy major at ASU. One of the things I love about philosophy is that it allows me to meet people with other ideas and not dismiss them as crazy or stupid when I don't agree. Philosophy allows me to analyze their ideas and try to understand them in a meaningful way. One of the things I love about my program is the great faculty.
Hi, I'm Cheshire Calhoun. I'm a professor of philosophy. And I think of philosophy as something that's useful for everyday life. And so what I work on is always something that helps me think about my own life.
I'm Peter Demarneff. I'm a professor of philosophy. I'm interested primarily in political philosophy, individual rights, and liberty.
I'm Elizabeth Brake. I'm an associate professor of philosophy and shippers at ASU, and my work has been on the ethics and politics of marriage and disaster, and I'm especially interested in issues of equality.
Hi, I'm Doug Portmore. I'm an associate professor of philosophy here at ASU, and my main interest is in normative ethics. So I'm interested in what we ought to do, how we ought to think, and how we ought to feel.
Hello, my name is Professor Joan McGregor. I'm a professor of philosophy. My areas of specialization are legal philosophy, bioethics, and more recently, the ethics of sustainability.
One of the classes I really enjoyed is Indigenous People and Intercultural Justice. It discussed highly controversial and personal topics, but in a rational and insightful way. But of course, there are a lot of great philosophy classes to choose from.
One of my favorite courses, and one of the courses I teach most often, is History of Modern Philosophy, which is 1600s and 1700s. I think it's fun for everybody because we talk about all those wild issues that you expect philosophers to talk about. For example, can you prove that a physical world external to your mind exists? Are space and time real, or are they really just projections?
One of the courses I teach is philosophy of law. In that course, we focus on constitutional interpretation, how properly to interpret the U.S. Constitution, an important topic in American politics.
One of the courses I'm teaching this semester is the philosophy of love and sex. And one of the things that really draws me to philosophy is that you can ask questions about anything. And we ask questions like, what is love? What is sex? And then ask about the ethical and political institutions. So what's marriage? Why should anyone get married?
One of my favorite courses to teach is Philosophy 101. I make the theme of the course is how you're wrong about everything. So I argue that there's no God, and that you don't have free will, that you don't know that you exist, you don't know that I'm here, and there's absolutely no possibility you're going to survive the death and destruction of your body. So the point is to provoke students to think.
Bioethics is a course in which we look at the ethical implications of biomedicine and biotechnology. So for example, we look at the ethical issues that are raised by genetic engineering, and in particular the issues that are now coming up with using genetic engineering in artificial reproductive technologies.
Think critically. Be a philosophy major at ASU.